In a bold and symbolic escalation of the cross-border conflict, a missile strike has reportedly targeted the building of the Directorate of Internal Affairs in the small Russian town of Glushkovo, located in the Kursk region, just miles from Ukraine's northeastern frontier. The strike, which took place in the early hours of the morning, involved the launch of 2 guided missiles that directly hit the government facility. What followed was a series of powerful explosions, likely triggered by ammunition stockpiled inside the building, according to footage shared widely across Russian and Ukrainian Telegram channels. Local residents captured the blast from rooftops and streets, showing black smoke and successive detonations shaking the town. The governor of the Kursk region, Roman Starovoyt, confirmed the attack in a brief statement on his Telegram channel. While he mentioned that there were no confirmed casualties, the structure suffered substantial damage. According to Russian outlet Izvestia, first responders were unable to enter the building for over an hour due to ongoing secondary explosions, pointing to a significant internal cache of weapons or ammunition. This isn't the first time Russia's border infrastructure has been targeted. Since mid-2023, Ukraine has increasingly taken the fight across the border. But this strike on a law enforcement and logistics hub, deep inside Russian territory, is one of the boldest so far. Why target Glushkovo? And why now? Glushkovo sits in a militarized zone of the Kursk region, which has become a critical node in Russia's supply chain. Intelligence reports from the UK Ministry of Defence, dated April 2024, highlighted this region as a key staging ground for Russian internal security units and border patrol reinforcements. Russian forces often route ammunition and personnel through Kursk to support operations in Kharkiv and Sumy, both contested areas in northeast Ukraine. By targeting Glushkovo's Internal Affairs Directorate, Ukraine, or pro-Ukrainian operatives, sent a direct message. Even Russia's internal logistics are no longer safe. This kind of operation isn't just military, it's psychological. Russian newspaper Kommersant and state media agency TASS initially downplayed the incident. However, independent outlets such as Meduza and Novaya Gazeta offered a different perspective, citing sources within law enforcement who confirmed that at least 3 vehicles and an arms depot were destroyed. An analysis by the US-based Institute for the Study of War (ISW) suggested this is part of Ukraine's strategy to degrade Russia's strategic depth, essentially forcing Russia to stretch its military resources further inland, reducing the strength at the front lines. A similar tactic was used earlier this year when drone strikes hit oil refineries in Belgorod and Bryansk. A senior Pentagon official, speaking anonymously to the Washington Post, stated, "These attacks show Ukraine is capable of reaching deeper into Russian logistics than previously thought. It's likely we'll see more of this, especially as Ukraine pushes for leverage in stalled peace negotiations." Naturally, the Kremlin has responded with fury. Dmitry Peskov, President Putin's spokesperson, labeled the strike a terrorist provocation orchestrated with NATO guidance. He accused Western nations of enabling Ukrainian aggression through advanced weaponry and real-time intelligence. But it's worth noting that while accusations fly, Russia has so far limited its official retaliation to increased aerial patrols and localized shelling across the Ukrainian border. Whether this restraint will last is unknown. However, pro-Kremlin military analysts have called for a decisive response, including targeting Ukrainian intelligence facilities in Kyiv and launching counterstrikes on suspected missile sites. This is where the escalation becomes dangerous. With each strike deeper into Russian territory, the risk of a broader war increases, not just in physical terms, but in how narratives are framed. Russian state TV is already weak. Internationally, the response has been muted but strategic. NATO has reiterated Ukraine's right to self-defense while avoiding direct commentary on the strike. EU Foreign Affairs Chief Josep Borrell, speaking to Reuters, stated, "As long as Ukraine is defending its sovereignty, we stand by it. but we urge all parties to act with restraint. The U.S. National Security Council declined to confirm any involvement or support in the strike, but emphasized the importance of deterring Russian aggression in all forms. Germany's Der Spiegel recently published an intelligence briefing that included warnings from EU security analysts. The briefing noted that Russian border regions were increasingly vulnerable and that Ukraine may adopt a ring of fire approach, isolating Russian military strongholds by cutting off interior logistics. Beyond strategy, there's a deeper shift happening. The war is coming home for Russian civilians. Glushkovo's residents, like those in Belgorod and Bryansk, are living with air raid sirens and bunker drills. This attack is part of a new phase of warfare, where the front lines blur and civilian populations in Russia begin to experience what Ukrainians have lived with for over 2 years. Telegram posts from Kursk residents show growing frustration, not just with Ukraine, but with Moscow. One user wrote, "We were told this war wouldn't touch us. Now, we're sleeping in basements. This strike won't end the war, but it could shift it." For Ukraine, these attacks are low-cost, high-impact tools to degrade Russian power and spread fear. For Russia, they represent a new vulnerability and a new justification to escalate. The question now is, will the Kremlin double down militarily, or will it look for a new approach? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, Glushkovo is no longer just a quiet border town. It's the newest front in a war that's rapidly redefining the boundaries of safety, power, and perception.